So as you start today's practice, maybe you're on your back. And we're going to talk about energy today. And it's not just that physical energy to get up and move and run a mile or exercise or any of that kind of thing. Energy also can just be, what's in your tank? What do you have left to give to the world? What is the kind of the vibes that you are giving off? And each time we come to yoga, each time we come onto our mat, we give ourselves a chance to refill our tank, reset the energy, and do what some spiritual guides, some leaders of meditation might call an energy inventory. So as you rest here on your back, we're going to do this very simple practice of assessing where our energy has already gone today. For some of you, maybe you've already done all sorts of different chores around the house today. You've cared for little ones. Maybe you have already done some other form of exercise. Maybe you've even been to work. Or maybe you haven't done a whole lot of physical things today, but your mind has been checking email, on social media, chatting with a friend. You've had your energy going in all sorts of different directions. So just assess what you've spent your energy on so far. Have you done anything yet today with your energy that feels uplifting, that feels positive? It feels like it was a way to refill your cup. If the answer is no, or maybe you've only done a little bit of something to make you feel good, hopefully this yoga practice serves as that for you today. This time to refill your cup, this time to put your energy into something positive, and allow not only your body to be physically restored, rejuvenated, uplifted, but also give that same feeling of calm to your mind as well. So let's start welcoming in a little bit of gentle movement, something simple. Maybe you let your head sway from side to side as you recline on your mat. Maybe you open and close your hands, or point and flex your toes. If your legs have been long, you might choose to even bend at the knees and walk your feet a little closer to your body. Maybe hugging the knees into the chest, letting yourself kind of rock here side to side. And then just put your grip to the backs of your thighs and just lift your feet up towards the sky. Both knees straighten, maybe not all the way, but a little bit. And you point and flex again, you roll around those ankles. And then see if you can use your inhale breath to let go of hands on legs and stretch them long up overhead. Exhale breath, bend your knees, let your hands come down on either sides of the body. Inhale breath, look for some length here, long through the arms, pushing the heels up to the ceiling. Exhale breath, bend the knees, hands come on either sides of the body. So we're just warming up the core, turning on a little heat in our inner body, giving our knees something to do. They're bending and straightening. Our arms are floating, opening up those shoulder blades, looking for extension. Now the next time your knees are bent, let's go ahead and keep them there. Bring your hands forward and place them on the tops of the kneecaps. And then just give yourself a little stir here. Hugging to the belly and then extending those arms out. And then hugging to the belly and extending those arms out. A little bit of stirring. And then when you feel ready, right knee is going to move itself in towards the body. Left leg's going to go nice and long down the mat. Point and flex the toes, roll around the ankles. And then switch sides. Opposite knee comes in, opposite leg goes long, point and flex, roll around the ankles. And then we'll do that again. Switch it. Switch it. Perfect. Both knees come back to chest, hands go to tops of kneecaps again, and give it another stir. All right, as you feel ready, we'll just rock and roll a little bit here on the spine until you bring yourself up to a seat. Once you find that tall seated spine, I'm going to turn just so I can see you a little better. My hands are going to move to the fronts of my knees and I'm going to initiate a little flexion breath. So as you inhale, belly comes through, hands slide back towards your hip creases. Exhale, breath round the back, round the spine. Just take a couple more rounds of that same flexion movement. Our spine moves in 6 different ways, as you know. We're just giving a little bit of opportunity to open and close. Once you get back to that nice tall spine, reach your hands off your lap towards the mat on either side of you or even off onto the floor. Sit nice and tall through the crown of your head and then just let your right ear start to fall over towards your right shoulder. Maybe your right hand even comes up, rest just comfortably on the top of the head. An easy stretch down the side of the neck. Inhale, breath, head comes back up over spine, hand goes down to ground, and then we're going to go the other way. Ear moves towards shoulder. Gentle pull, nothing too big here. Little bit of attention today on the neck. Inhale, breath, head comes back up over spine. Let that hand come back down to earth. And then when you're ready, inhale to lift the right hand up towards the ceiling, and then just send it slightly over and across towards that left side. Perfect. Just take your time. Let's just do that again on the other side, up for length, and then over. Take that same kind of dancing movement over to the other side, up for length, and then over. Taking care, taking time, up for length, and then over. Beautiful work. Up for length, hands come down, find the earth, and then just let them walk out in front of you. A couple inches out in front of the legs. Maybe they even continue to walk as you hinge at that hip crease and start to bring your chest down to lay it a little flatter onto the tops of your legs. Next natural inhale, walks the hands back closer to the body. And then just flip your palms, place them on top of your legs, and give yourself a nice exhale to relax. Shoulders drop from ears, creating more space in the spine. Left hand moves towards your right knee, right hand lifts towards the ceiling, and then initiates a little twist. I'm going to turn a little bit more sideways so you can kind of see what I'm doing. Your hand can just reach straight behind you as you point, or it can always look for the earth as you gaze over that right shoulder. Perfect. Inhale, breath, hand lifts, bring yourself back to center, switch sides, opposite hand to knee, opposite hand reaches high, and then just as before, we take that same twist. All right, giving yourself time to unwind from that. We'll come back to the center and start looking at a tabletop pose. So wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. And when you find your tabletop, take your time. If you want to put a blanket underneath your knees or anything else to get you a little bit more comfortable, feel free. And then create that same cat-cow spine that we were doing seated. Belly dropping on the inhale, nice full round on the exhale, just taking care. Easing in and out. Using that breath as much as you need it here to stay connected. The next time you hit that angry cat spine, go ahead and sit hips back onto heels. Knees can widen or they can come closer together. Arms might stretch nice and long out in front. You can even look for a block if you have one handy, placing the hands over the top edges of that block. Settling into that space. All right, as you feel ready, just take your time. We'll bring ourselves back up to hands and knees. Right hand's going to extend straight forward out in front. Left foot extends long behind. Go ahead and take yourself into a balancing table, gazing several feet out in front of the hand that's on the earth. One more nice full breath here with that extension through fingers and toes. Hand comes down, looks for earth, toes curl under, push through heel. Nice full calf stretch on this left leg. Inhale, breath, bring your knee towards your left elbow. So it's kind of coming out to the side. It's going to kiss there and then go back behind you. Inhale, breath, knee comes towards that left elbow and then send it back behind you. So it's coming a little bit more out to the side than we usually do when we pull it underneath our body. There'll be a little bit more opening for the hip, a little bit more work for those oblique muscles. Give yourself one more. Send it back behind. This lifted leg is now going to step to the opposite side of the mat. So you've got left leg lifted, look over that right shoulder. You're stepping to the right edge of your mat. Big C curve stretch to the outer edges of the spine, side body. Perfect. Then we bring that foot back to the middle of the mat. Curl toes under on both feet. Lift your hips. First downward facing dog. Walk it out. Let your hips lift nice and high up towards the ceiling. Take your time. Find what feels good in your own body. Bending the knees, pushing the hips back towards that wall. And then when you're ready, we'll start to float down to the floor. This time, right foot gets to be lifted. Left hand points. Balancing table. Being conscious of where you are in this space, control your energy. Allow your thoughts to stay right here on the mat with you. Hand comes down, looks for the earth. Now this knee is going to come towards the outer edge, right elbow. So you feel it coming out to the side rather than tucking it towards your nose. That's a common way that we do this. Bring it underneath of us. Today we're playing with a little bit different muscle group. A little more concentration on hips today. Neck. Maybe upper back. Maybe low back. All finding their way into today's practice. Do one more of these. We're all kind of moving at different paces depending on your breath, so that's okay. Extend that leg long and then have it step to the opposite side of the mat. Just like before, look over that shoulder. Nice big C curve stretch of the spine. Perfect. And then when you're ready, bring this foot back to the middle of the mat. Both toes curl under, hips lift up, downward facing dog. And then we'll take our time, small steps to the feet. Just start to walk them forward towards your hands. You're going to hang in a forward fold here just for a breath or two. And then find a half lift. Hands come to shin. Spine gets nice and long. Gaze slightly out in front of you. Exhale, fold. Plant the feet, number 11, nice and sturdy. Hands lift up. Let them reach for the ceiling. And then settle them into your heart. Inhale, breath, hands reach tall. Take yourself through 3 half sun salutations. You're going to fold towards the earth on your exhale, reaching for the floor or maybe a set of blocks, halfway lifting. Exhale, fold. Planting the feet back up to the sky. Maybe you even open with cactus. All right, give yourself 2 more half sun salutations. So that's this series of flowing movements using the breath, 1 step at a time. Use either the pace of the music you've got playing in the background or the pace of your own breath to tell you how this dance should flow for these half sun salutations. Next time you hit those cactus arms, just freeze there. Stay in that cactus shape. When you're ready, exhale, bring the elbows in front of the face. Keep the arms at 90 degrees. Right arm's going to drop down towards the ground and wrap underneath of your left elbow. Eagle arms. Staying there for another round of breath, just enjoying a nice stretch of the upper back. Perfect. Exhale, breath. Take that right hand back from underneath. Go back to that same 90. Open back up to your cactus. Exhale, keep the pelvis underneath of you. Pull the elbows together. Left arm drops this time. Let it wrap underneath to create those same eagle arms. Beautiful. Dropping down on the next round of breath. Open back up. Cactus. Lift fingers to the ceiling. Exhale, take a chair pose. Bend the knees. Sink down. Take the chair to whatever preference you have for chair, whether it be deep with long extended arms. Maybe your hands come back by your hips and point back behind, or they stay at prayer at the chest. As you exhale, let the hands sweep down towards the floor. Let them reach around back and either grab towards the backs of your calves, the backs of your ankles, the backs of your thighs. Shake the head, yes. And no. Little lift of the tail up towards the ceiling. And then plant the hands down on the earth. Step your right foot towards the back of the mat. Right knee drops down into the floor. Take a kneeling lunge here. Hands lift towards the ceiling on your next natural inhale breath. Exhaling, let's find that same cactus shape. Elbows then move in front of the face. We're going to drop our right arm down, take eagle arms with right underneath. Bring the right arm back out from underneath. Let's do left underneath this time. Eagle arms again. Take that left arm out from underneath. Open arms back out to cactus. Reach for the ceiling. And then float hands back to earth. Front foot steps to the back of the mat. Put yourself in downward facing dog. Walk out that down dog. Continue to breathe. Maybe even finding a big exhale here as the hips are lifted up towards ceiling. When you feel ready, small steps, large leap, or a hop, bring the feet up to your hands. Find the same half lift you were looking for before. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach the hands high to the sky. Use your exhale to find cactus once more. Inhale, breath reaches back up towards your ceiling. Exhale, chair pose. Hold the chair. Maybe hands sweep back towards the hips, sending the energy back through those fingers. Hold. Take a quick peek down. Can you still see your toes? Good. Exhale, let the hands fall towards the earth. Let them reach around back, maybe backs of shins as the chest moves towards the tops of your thighs. Now, there's no shame in taking a good bend here in the knees if you need it, and then slightly straightening only when your low back feels like it's in the right position to do so. Hands start to move from your legs to the floor. Left foot this time steps back, left knee looking for the mat. Low lunge, knee on the ground. Hands come up. Cactus shape. Elbows move in front of face. Left hand underneath. Left arm rather, crisscrossing, making those eagle arms. Switch. Arm comes back out. Other arm goes underneath. Maybe you wrap all the way to palm, or you're just kind of in an X shape. Unwrap. Open the arms back to cactus. Reach them up tall. Cartwheel them to the floor. And then, just as we did before, step foot back. Downward facing dog, lift those hips up nice and high, really looking for that long extended spine. Knowing that in downward facing dog, I'd rather see you bend your knees and push your hips up and back than have straight legs and have a big arch in your upper back. You don't want to feel like you're taking a lot of weight and putting it in your hands. You're trying to transfer it to the biggest muscles, the strongest muscles often in our body, which are in our legs. Small steps with the feet, take your time, start walking them up towards your hands, hang in that same forward fold, half lift, back to earth. Inhale, bring yourself up to standing, hands reach up, look up. Exhale, hands out to cactus, back up tall, and then bring them to the heart. As your next natural inhale comes around, weight transfers to the right foot, left foot lifts in a nice 90-degree angle. I want you to turn your arms into kind of runner's arms. So can you just tap your foot down to get your arms ready? Now when this knee is lifted, left knee is lifted, right kind of runner arm is lifted. And then when you swing it back, your left arm moves. So kind of just rock back and forth here for a moment. See if you can really play with the strength in that right leg. So if you need to come down or you fall down, that's okay. And if this just turns into a lift and a toe tap, that's okay too. Give it one more. And the next time that this left leg swings back, put it down on the floor. Spin it so that it opens to create warrior two. Remembering with those warrior two arms, nice in a T, front knee is bent. Reach. Inhale, breath, hands, look for the ceiling, high prayer. Exhale, breath, back down into that warrior shape. So just take a couple rounds of this, lifting and lowering. Lifting and lowering. Last one. Take this front hand, one round of reverse warrior. Back to warrior two, elbow moves towards knee, top hand reaches up and over. Perfect, bring it back to warrior two. We're gonna straighten our front knee and give yourself one round of triangle today. I'm going to take my back toes, turn them just slightly forward so that this back hip kind of turns around a little bit for me. Reach forward with that front hand and then start to tip into my triangle shape. Now, of course, you can reach for a block if you want to block here in this shape. Hand that's lifted towards the ceiling, palm would be facing the same direction as your belly. Feeling open, lifted. Beautiful. Softening that front knee when you need it, sweeping the hand back around. Look for your warrior two. And then cartwheel this down to earth. You can, of course, have a full vinyasa here if that's your style, but I'm just going to step the front foot back to the back. You can drop to knees and take a couple breaths in child's pose, or you can just look once more for that same length in your spine. Give yourself about 2 more breaths in that shape. Forgot to turn the lights on today. Looks a little dark behind me. All right, when you're ready, small steps with the feet from your downward facing dog or your child's pose. Just get yourself to a forward fold, maybe a half lift, folding down, and then back up nice and tall, hands reaching for the sky. Exhale, let those settle down and find your heart. All right, we're gonna transition on to the other side. I'm gonna flip this way just so I can see you when I do this one. But we're gonna be rocking back and forth with the other foot. So this time, right foot lifts up. And then start to look for your runner's arms. When the knee is lifted, opposite arm comes forward. When the knee heads back. And it's not uncommon to notice that, you know what, my balance is a little better on this side or a little worse, whatever it may be for you. Making those observations is completely human. But let's not dwell on those, all right? So it is what it is. Balance changes every day. And depending on what type of surface you're practicing on at home, your balance is going to change too, because carpet's different than hardwood. Or in the case of our yoga we did this morning at the park, outdoors. So just give yourself a couple more rocks back and forth in that running man, running motion. And then next time the foot's back, go ahead and let it settle down. Turn those toes slightly outward and look for warrior two. Inhale, breath, front knee straightens, hands reach up. Exhale, breath, take it down. Just a couple more of those. Taking a quick peek out of the corners of your eyes, make sure your T is nice and straight, not floating way up by your ears. Perfect. Now, next time you're down into warrior two, flip your front hand. Just give yourself one round of the warrior dance. Away, and then back towards, up and over the top, bicep by ear. Perfect. Back to that warrior two. Start to straighten this front knee. Now this back hip again, I'm going to take just a slight turn. Turn my toes just angled ever so slightly. Arms reach out to T. Start to reach forward. You can again add blocks like we did before. Your hand that's in the air again is waving towards the same direction as your chest and your belly. Look for height, look for length. Opening that side wall, thinking about flexibility, thinking about strength, where your energy is flowing. Let that arm circle down. Bring yourself back up to warrior two. And then here we go again. You can cartwheel forward towards your front foot, wherever that may be. Step the front foot to the back of the mat. Maybe a full vinyasa makes sense this time. Full plank maybe, or plank on your knees. Exhaling to lower down, up dog, or cobra. Transitioning to a downward dog or skipping it. Maybe you feel better in child's pose right now. Wherever you are in this practice with me today is where you're supposed to be. Don't worry about whether you should have more strength or you should be able to do this. That's not what it's about. It's about figuring out where you are today. Listening to that, servicing that, lending care and attention to the parts of the body that need your attention. Take your time wherever you are on the mat to drop knees to earth. Come back and look for table. And we're just going to give ourselves a little bit of a barrel roll. So it's similar to a cat-cow. The belly drops down towards the earth, but then it swings right, up, over to the left, and then you start to drop the belly down through the middle. So it's as if you were trying to hit all the edges of an invisible barrel around your torso. And once you've done once or twice that direction, try it the other way. One of the reasons why I like this pose or this shape, this dynamic movement, is because it really does allow us to pay attention to the little nooks and crannies that our spine wants a little more attention to. Give yourself one more of those, always knowing you can make fists if your wrists feel a little tender. Or you can try this down here on your forearms. Make your circles a little smaller. Then just sit back onto your hips. Let the hands extend forward, child's pose. One more nice breath in that child's pose. And then we'll bring ourselves back up to hands and knees. When you're ready, the right knee is going to extend with the right leg nice and long behind you. Go ahead and flip this right foot to its inside edge. I'm going to keep my left knee on the ground if I'm feeling like I want a little bit of help today. My left hand's going to go underneath my face as I start to maybe let the left toes peek out just slightly behind me, opening for a side plank. If you'd like to take the full version today, perhaps you step this left foot down, you stack both feet on top of one another, or stagger them slightly on the mat, looking for a little bit more arm strength here, reaching for the ceiling. Or maybe even extending this hand up overhead. Taking your time for whatever version of side plank works for you today. And then we'll soften the hands back to earth, come out of whatever variation of that you were in. Take yourself to downward facing dog. Right knee comes forward towards your right wrist. Let it settle in to create pigeon pose. So pigeon pose means we have the right knee bent. My right toes are back about a quarter way back the mat, pointing off at a little bit of an angle. If you've got a block handy, you can certainly bring that in. Place it underneath the arms, settling into this shape. Giving yourself a couple rounds of breath here. I'm not going to stay here too long, but giving just a little bit of opportunity to open those hips. Knowing that if this shape doesn't work, we can always sit a little bit more towards this right side, roll out of that big shape, pull your left leg in a little closer to you, and just sit. Maybe even fold over this knee, but have a modified version. My back leg is not near as long, there's not near as much weight sitting into it. So we have variations we can find. All right, as you feel ready, your next natural inhale, start to just figure out how you're gonna get back to a downward facing dog. Curl toes under, lift hips up, go back to that down dog. This time, right knee looks for the ground, left foot turns on its inside. My right palm comes directly underneath my forehead so that my hand is slightly pushing out. Ideally, we don't want to put this wrist right underneath the shoulder. That's a lot of impact on that wrist. So if we can put it slightly out in front of us, forces us to use a little bit more of that tricep. Take whatever variation of side plank you want today, whether it means your knee is on the ground or you step right foot back to be your underneath knee or underneath foot. Looking for length. Maybe adding that little kickstand and stepping your top foot up over, halfway up the mat. Letting this tricep really lift up out of that wrist, link through the fingers. Perfect. We'll take our time, start to move down out of that pose. Whatever variation makes the most sense to put yourself into child's pose or downward facing dog. We'll breathe just a couple breaths in down dog before we bring our left knee forward towards our left wrist, looking for pigeon on this side. So on this side, you can probably see a little better. Front knee's bent. My legs kind of cut down across the mat at an angle. My back foot walks further away from me. My toenails ideally are pointed down towards the earth. You can reach for a block again. My hips are nice and square. I fall down over that front leg. Now I'm gonna feel some good opening in my inner thighs and outer hips, but I'm not gonna feel much happening in my kneecaps and my knees. If I've got pain in my knees, I'm gonna certainly wanna readjust or take that modification where I talked about last time, just kind of rolling completely out of the pose, maybe even welcoming this back knee up a bit, folding down. And just stay here for a few more breaths. As you feel ready, the transitions that make sense to you are going to get you back to your last and final downward facing dog. Toes curl under, hips lift up. Put yourself in that upside down triangle, upside down V, triangle shape. And then we'll take our time, knees coming down to mat. I kind of like to crisscross at my ankles, crisscross my knees, and just kind of fall over my ankles to come into a seat. If that works for you, follow suit. Otherwise, just drop your knees down to the ground and start to find that seated posture. Now, if a crisscross feels good, too many consonants coming out of my mouth at once. If a crisscross feels good, go ahead and find that seat, that easy pose. If you'd rather come to bound angle, you can certainly bring the soles of the feet together and let those lead this shape. And revisit your neck again. Yes, what's going on in the neck? Should we sweep it side to side? Should we let it move comfortably and slowly from one ear to the other? Should we lift and lower the chin? Or should we hinge at the hip creases and fold over those crisscross legs or over that bound angle? Get a little more stretch for the hips. Your choice. And then we'll just take our time. Standing these knees back up to ceiling. Letting the legs go nice and long out in front. Seated forward fold, hands reaching tall. Exhale, hinging over those hip creases. Let yourself move into that folded version of a seated stretch. Inhale, breath brings the chest up. Hands start to look for the mat on either sides of the hips. And you have two choices. You can just do a staff pose, which still has a lot of work in the arms. We put our hands into the earth. We push into those hands in such a way that we're trying to lift the glutes up off the earth. Now, they're probably not going to lift up, but you've got a lot of intention in through the hands and through those triceps. If you want something a little different, hands can go back slightly, push through the heels, lift the hips, point the toes, reverse plank. Arms and abdominals. Settling the hips, relaxing the arms. Knees come in towards your chest, and we start to head back to our backs. Take your time. Once you settle into your back, your hands might come back up to the kneecaps just as you did before. You might take that same stirring motion. You might choose happy baby or knees to chest. You might elevate your feet to the ceiling. Just take a moment here to listen to whatever final poses. Supta Baddha Konasana, reclined bound angle might feel nice. A big star-shaped pose. Maybe you scoot yourself over a little closer to a wall and put your legs on the wall or on the couch, on a chair. Your choice as you start to settle down into the earth. Taking that same opportunity to check in with your energy again. What's happening in your back? What's happening in your shoulders? Your hips? Is there anything else that the body needs in order for you to settle into your Savasana? Is there any way that you can continue to fill up your cup? Is it a calm, slow, easy breath that's going to revive you? It's going to ease the tension that's still lingering in your forehead or in your eyes, in your cheeks, in your chin? Do you need to sigh? Do you need to move around? Is there anything else that you can listen to? Final Savasana has so many wonderful benefits for our body, way beyond just taking time to lay still. Use this emotional, physical, spiritual reset as a way to let everything settle back into place. And it's time. I'll use a calm, easy breath to pull you back. But just stay right here, whatever space you've created with long legs, lying on your side or bent knees. That's what it's meant to be, this resting pose. Tensions disappear from the space between the eyebrows and the hairline. A sense of calm moves down the front of the face, relaxing the muscles of the jaw and the cheeks. That same sense of calm moves down the spine, through the hips, all the way down your legs to the tips of your toes. Slowly starting to become aware of your breath. Allowing gentle movements to come back into the body as you feel ready for them. Something simple, maybe just open and close the hands, wiggle around the toes. If you've been flat on your back, maybe you just let your head sway side to side as if you had a paintbrush on the tip of your nose. Let it paint the ceiling. Maybe your knees start to come into your chest, slowly rocking side to side, before ultimately rolling to your right hand side, maybe even using your right arm like a pillow. Side lying savasana feels nice oftentimes, just resting there. And then we'll close today's class similar to the way we always do, with a little reading. Today's is entitled, Making Others Laugh. I learned quickly that when I made others laugh, they liked me. We don't have to act like clowns to get others to laugh. We just have to keep our sense of humor and let it show when it's appropriate. It feels good to see others smile and hear them laugh, as long as the laughter is genuine, open, and honest, and not mean. When we feel like poking fun at another person, we should first consider poking fun at ourselves. This may be the easiest way to get people to both like us and laugh with us. Can I make someone laugh today? I greatly appreciate you taking this time for yourself, not only to physically move and breathe with us today, but just to give that much needed reset to the mind as well. Continue to check in with yourself today. Watch your energy and see where it's going. Can you pull it to something positive when our mind shifts to something negative? Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you again. Namaste.